Good morning from day 85. Today is planned to be a slightly longer day, about 28.5 miles, so an extra 3 miles compared to yesterday, just because of where the campsites are, and then that will leave me 9.6 or something miles on Friday to go to be picked up, and the guy wants to pick me up around 10 to 11, so that will give me plenty of time to do those miles in the morning. Spent the night at a campsite with two people that I had met and spent the night at the campsite the day before, and then two new people, so it was Juke and Rubber Band, and then Paradise and Cheddar. Juke is Israeli, and so we're talking just a lot of random things. One of the things we were talking about is the American work culture, and how ingrained it is for us to, live to work versus the other way around. And one of the things that I remembered and brought up is literally I remember in middle school having to pick a job that we wanted to do and give a presentation on it. So even from the age of whatever we are in middle school, we are being taught that our purpose and goal in life was to find a job to work. So anyways, there's nice having those, deep conversations, which tend to happen a lot on trail, but it was a very good night. It's an overcast day, which same as it was yesterday, seems to be par for the course for Washington, and it'll be another big elevation day. If I do 28.6 miles, it'll be just over 6,000 feet of gain, just like it was yesterday. But I don't think I even updated my ankle. It was 90-95% yesterday, barely felt it. So that is amazing. I'm gonna continue wearing my brace and calf sleeve, if not for the rest of the trip, at least for another several days, so I don't risk anything. But I am happy that everything is trending in the right direction. So the trail is walking right by someone's property, and they've clearly had some sort of issue with trespassers. These are the 9th and 10th signs I've seen so far. In case we didn't get it yet, more signs. And then there's two more back there. They must have had some really traumatizing trespassing incidences. I'm taking a short little backpack and snack break, and this is my view. Doesn't get any better than this. The slugs are out again today, and here's a thick one. Wow, oh God, balance is not great. Good, my finger. I am stopping for lunch for the day. I have done 18.7 miles and have spent most of the day climbing. I've done 4,500 feet of climbing and only 2,200 feet downhill. So majority of it has been uphill. And to get to where I plan to camp, I have exactly 10 miles left and 2,000 feet of climbing. So obviously most of the day's miles are done, most of the day's climbing is done. I am going to sit down probably for an hour. It didn't rain last night, but my tent did get a little bit wet just with dew or condensation. So I'm going to dry that out and just rest, and then get going around 2 or sooner if I get cold, to try and get to camp early. There is a chance of rain today. This is based on my Garmin. It says 30% chance starting at 4 p.m. So I want to get as much done as I can before it starts to rain. A little bit worried tomorrow's like 100%, which I'll just have 10 miles to go to get to the guy, for the guy to pick me up, and then I can literally have him drop me off and not move at all. But it's supposed to start getting colder, so I think tomorrow's a high of low 50, and then the next day is like a high in the 40s. Now the weather forecast temperature may change also because tomorrow I'll be skipping 50 miles ahead, so things might be different there. But I'm a little bit worried. I do not like being cold and wet, so we'll just have to play it by ear and see what happens. But I'm feeling great today. A day less of food, so the backpack's feeling lighter. I'm able to move quicker. Time to rest up though. The rain clouds are getting closer and closer, but I'm not too far from camp, so hopefully they hold off. I am obviously in my tent. I did 28.6 miles by 5:20 today. And it started drizzling about 30 minutes before I got to camp, so I'm in my rain jacket. Not raining hard enough where I need to put on that poncho. I am doing my new rain technique of having my Tyvek inside my tent. Again, that's because the water runs down my tent and collects, if I have the Tyvek underneath, collects between the tent and the Tyvek and soaks through. The Tyvek is supposed to be protecting the bottom of the tent, but also as a double layer to protect my sleeping pad. This way, it's not protecting the bottom of my tent obviously, but it is still that double layer to protect my sleeping bag. But everything is all set up, so I should be protected from the rain. I have my backpack and everything inside, so I'll just have to navigate around it to get everything fully set up, but I am feeling great. I only feel my ankle when I force myself to extend or flex it more than I naturally do when hiking, which means while hiking it feels great, doesn't bother me. It's just when I do the forced extension that it bothers me. But I'm gonna get set up. I'm here early and it's raining, which means I'm gonna get many hours of relaxation tonight. And then it's 9.6 miles to the road where I'm gonna get picked up tomorrow to be shuttled around and skip the 50-mile section. It is supposed to rain more tomorrow, so I'm really hoping I won't have to pack up in the rain, but that is looking very likely that I'll be packing up and hiking in the morning in the rain. And then I just have to keep my fingers crossed that it won't be raining 50 miles north of here, and if it is, I have an extra day and a half of food, so I can just sit in my tent and wait for the storm to pass. Good morning from, I don't know what day it is. I'm not sure, but it's 6 a.m. Trying to get moving ASAP. I'm trying to get to the road in 9.6 miles. So a lot of things have changed. Originally, we were going to be picked up by a trail angel who's going to take us to Wallop Lake so we could still experience Goat Rocks. And I'm saying we now instead of me because I met another hiker along the way named Juke, who is going to do this ride with me. He originally had planned to do the road walk, but is more interested in this ride option. However, last night, and it wasn't until about 8 o'clock at night, so that was a little bit frustrating, but the trail angel let me know that he wouldn't be able to get us to Wallop Lake. It is not his fault at all, except for the late notice when we're already out here. But apparently, so he comes from the east of the mountains in Trout Lake, and to get to Wallop Lake, you'd have to go all the way far west to Portland and then go around, which would be like 12 hours round trip of driving for him, or something like that, because of the fire closures and accessibility to Wallop Lake. Which he and his wife are leaving at 5, and also that's just a lot for one person to do. So I messaged every other trail angel in Trout Lake. No one either they didn't respond or couldn't do it. Again, it's a very long drive, very understandable, but I didn't have enough service to find if there's any trail angels in Packwood or post on Facebook or anything like that. So at this point, we're going to talk to the guy when he picks us up, see where he can take us with the time frame he has, if he can get us maybe just back to Trout Lake, not back to, but to Trout Lake, or if he can get us up north to White Pass, and from White Pass we can get to Packwood, and I can either try and find a hitch to Wallop Lake, or just do an out and back of Goat Rocks to not miss that. But either way, don't know exactly where we're going when we get picked up. Don't know how it's going to happen, how it's going to work out, which for me is obviously stressful, but gotta live with it. But either way, I'm very interested in getting out of the woods right now. I was extremely warm in my tent last night. I had no issues. The problem is it is still cold and rainy today, so my tent's soaking wet because it rained all night. And since it's rainy, it's not going to dry out today, which means it's going to be wet again tonight if I were to have to set it up. And it was like a high of in the upper 40s today, last time I checked the weather, which, yes, I could survive out here with high of upper 40s, but do I want to be cold and wet and miserable? Not really. So, gonna get picked up at a trail angel. I'm actually, I'm happy to have Juke with me so that we can figure shit out together and figure out our next steps. But gonna pick up a trail angel and see where we're gonna go from there. Just to give a little further insight, I just checked the weather on my Garmin, and right now the real feel is 37 degrees, so it is quite chilly. Honestly, when I'm walking, it doesn't feel too bad, and it feels like, you know, I was overreacting when I was leaving camp about it being cold and wet. But the minute you stop hiking, it feels cold again. So anyways, onwards to the road and an unknown destination. I don't know. Hi, I need to provide an update on what's going on. So today is day 86. it was obviously rainy and cold, like I said this morning. When we got moving, it was warmer, but still rainy and cold. So we being me and Juke, who I met the first night out of Cascade Locks, I had told him and a couple of his friends he was hiking with about my plan to get a Trail Angel ride, and he opted to come with the ride with me versus do the road walk that he originally planned. So anyways, we hiked 9.6 miles to the road where the Trail Angel Don picked us up. Don is amazing, an amazing person. He spent over 7 hours driving today for me and Juke. So he picked us up at Forest Road 24, and then he drove us 3 hours from there. So he had to drive to that road to pick us up, and then he drove us 3 hours from there to a town called Morton. And then from there, we hung out at a place called Spiffy's Diner for like, I don't know, like maybe even 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours. Ate a lot of food. I had a half-pound hamburger and fries, and then a shake, and then packed out 2 grilled cheeses. And then Jay Go, or Outside Jay, who's a really famous PCT trail angel, he came and picked me and Juke up from Morton and drove us to Wallop Lake, which was our original goal. And so that was an 1.5-hour drive one direction for Jay. Neither of these, Jay does not accept donations, and then Don didn't ask for any. He's a retired pastor. Jay doesn't accept it. Don didn't ask, but I did give him a donation, obviously. So while we were in the diner, gotta obviously warm up, dry out some things, charge up some things. It has been rainy off and on all day today. You can see the clouds. And then it's supposed to be rainy and cold again tomorrow. Only 50% chance of rain, but tomorrow's a high of 48. And they actually are predicting snow up in the mountains tomorrow. And then Sunday it warms up 10 degrees and it shouldn't be rainy. So me and Juke are gonna wait out the weather, see what happens. May or may not hike out from Wallop Lake, which is not on the PCT. Wallop Lake is an off trail, is not on the PCT. It's where a lot of, it's a drive up campground with a beautiful lake. Check this out. And anyways, we're gonna see what the weather looks like tomorrow. We both have enough food where we could, and we have time, we could stay here tomorrow and just do a 0 at the lake, wait out the storm, let things dry out, because going back on trail is gaining elevation where it might be snowing and also be cold. And then the next part of the trail is called Goat Rocks Wilderness, which and there's Knife's Edge in there too, which is an amazing but exposed ridge, but with amazing views. And so we want to be able to not be miserably wet and cold through that section because of the exposure and the elevation, and then also don't want clouds blocking our view. So what's most likely going to happen is we're going to stay here. We're going to sleep in tomorrow, stay here, pending the weather, may or may not hike out, and then may not, so today's Friday, may not leave Wallop Lake till Sunday. I have 3 days of food. He has even more than that, and it's only 35 miles from here to the next place we can get food, which is White Pass. So if we stay here, we will still only have to do 35 miles of the 2 days afterwards. So plenty of food, plenty of time. So that might be the route we take. But anyway, we'll just see what the weather looks like tomorrow. But yeah, that was the story. So things, as always, they worked out. The reason it wasn't that long a drive, it wouldn't have been that long a drive when I originally asked him or when he originally planned. But the route he originally planned ended up being in the fire closure area. So he couldn't do that route. And so if I didn't mention already, that's why we're skipping, is because of a fire closure. I think I probably mentioned that. But there's a fire closure that we had to skip. So that's why we had to skip ahead. And then we also got to enjoy some good food, warm up, and dry out a little bit in town today. So everything worked out wonderfully. I'm now at Wallop Lake Campground. sharing a tent site with Juke, and then 3 other PCT hikers who they have to hike out, or not have to, but they are hiking out tomorrow regardless of the weather. But they are Storm, Sandman, and Guardian. So we'll probably see them along further ahead, but that is the update. One other random quick fact to add was, we're planning to do a camping zero in the woods here at Wallop Lake, most likely tomorrow. You might ask, or might think, why didn't we just stay in town and stay at a motel or anything like that instead, which we could have been warmer, more luxury, things like that. One, this is a smaller matter, was the cost of the motel, but 2, the bigger matter was getting to Wallop Lake. Like I said, it's an hour and a half, but it's not just an hour and a half, past some towns or anything like that. This is down long way down. I think it's like over an hour from the closest town, so a long way down forest roads, way off the beaten path, so it's not like you can easily hitch there. Jay could take us tonight, but he is flying back for work tomorrow, so today was the last option to go with him.
Yeah,
I'm
fine.
And we're going to be done soon enough, because he's been in there. It's the 3rd week of September. You'll get snow. It'll be cold.